This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice that this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, the Herald, and has been posted on the bulletin board at Township Hall.
We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Douglas. Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
I'm so sorry. Mayor Beck.
You're sorry that he's the deputy mayor? Sure. I'm here. And Glenn is on vacation. He notified us in advance. We have a presentation before we begin the work session tonight, and we're honored to have Ann Salvatore here. I don't see the good doctor. But, this is he coming? Did you say? He's sick. Okay. It's a resolution urging Cape May County Board of Chosen Freeholders to continue funding historic Cold Spring Village. It's a long resolution. Norris, would you have a few words on this? I think it was your initiative at this point.
Yes, Mayor. Historic Cold Spring Village, Mayor, is, I think it's the Smithville Inn of our township, the Williamsburg of Cape May County. And it is a treasure. It's a key part of the Bayshore Heritage Byway. It's significant to our tourism. And it's come to my attention that the funding is being reevaluated from the county. It's important for folks to understand how much of an impact this village has on the township. Over 30,000 people were drawn into our township as a result of this village, about 6 employees. And I wanted Annie to let folks know just where they stand, but the village has been operating for 20 years. At one point the county ran the village, and they came back to the Salvatores and said, we would like you to run it, we think you could do a better job. They started out giving them $300,000 annually to assist them in running the village. And over time, to help the county with its budget, they've given back half of that in terms of underwriting the village. Now they're at a level of $150,000 a year. And I've known the Salvatores all these years, for 20 years, and the folks that work with them. But people should know, Mayor, that they do not take a salary. They are the most entrepreneurial of historical advocates and caretakers. This is a treasure that they have been caretaking and without taking a salary, and all these years. And both of them were quite a testimony to the importance of history and culture within our township. So Annie, would you please come forward and...
Thank you, Norris. My apologies for my husband. He is flat on his back with a terrible backache, and he's an orthopedist, so he should be able to take care of himself, but it doesn't work well that way. I'm very happy to be here in support of Historic Cold Spring Village. And just as a couple of points of clarification, many years ago, back in probably the early 1970s, my husband and I came before all of the powers that be in the Township of Lower requesting permission to start a living history museum. So it began here, and it was very exciting. 1973 was when the first buildings were moved in. It opened in 1981 to the public, and it ran from then until 1985 with my husband and myself doing it. We realized in 1985 that we're not financially able to continue it to the level of where it should be, because at that point in time it was not yet a museum, which it is now and has been for quite a while. The county of Cape May expressed a great interest in having the village. It was donated to them. It was the largest single donation they'd ever had. It was about $1.5 million. 7 years later, in 1992, they came back to us and said, we're really not in the museum business and we prefer not to do this. Would you take it back? And at that point we said, no, we can't do that. We didn't have the money to do it. they said, well, would you take it back under certain qualifications, one of which was to turn it into a nonprofit, which had come from us initially. We do not own it. We have nothing to do with it financially except on the foundation board. The village is a 501c3 nonprofit museum, tax exempt, and it has been since 1993, January 1st, when the freeholders gave it back to us for about 20 minutes. It passed through us into a New Jersey not-for-profit corporation, and then the IRS recommendation, or the IRS approval about 6 months later. So for the last 20 years, the village has operated as a non-profit living history museum. It's a specific genre that a lot of people don't know, especially down in this area, more widespread areas, maybe New England. It's an open-air living history museum. Is specifically a museum that's comprised of historic homes that are formed to make a village, which is what the village was done originally to do. Within the confines of a living history museum, you almost always have representative trades and crafts that would have been out there during that time period. Most every single town, small town and community, from post-Revolutionary War to just before the Civil War, were just like the village. I've had people come in from Europe, where the towns are still very similar, and they've said that this is just like being in my hometown. You have the spinner and the weaver and the blacksmith and all the different trades and crafts that were represented. When the county asked us to be the stewards of the village, they said that they would give the village $300,000 a year for 10 years. And this sounded like a wonderful idea. Unfortunately, the facilities and services budget was not included, which we didn't find out till later. And that's a huge part of the budget, as you all know, because 26 buildings to care for and love and paint and repair and preserve takes a lot more money than $300,000. But we kept working on it. We developed a great staff. We started writing grants and getting sponsorships and donations and membership, everything you do in a nonprofit to survive. In 2009, the county had started lowering the allocation. We had explained to them that we needed a stable source of funding, which we have never had, because none of the other things are a stable source of funding. And they lowered it to $150,000, which it's been for 4 years. This year, they said they could not do that because they were very tight and their budget was compromised, which we also understand. But we have a museum to run. And at $150,000, we're using every bit of interest from the endowment fund, which was saved from a salary that I never took. So here we are at this point in time. We have a threefold mission for the village. It is initially historic preservation, second is history education, and third is heritage tourism. In the historic preservation area, we have 26 buildings that represent all 16 municipalities of Cape May County. And we take care of all of them with, again, a lot of love and care. We have a history education program that, from what we understand, is one of the best ones out there for living history museums. We have teleconference distance learning. We were one of the first in the country to do that. We've had other places come and find out from us how to do it. We've been to many states around the country, coming from Lower Township in Cape May County, New Jersey. And we do one-room classroom programs. We have a huge stack of programs that we do. That's another very important component. And the third is heritage tourism. And here we sit, I think we were quoted as Lower Township attraction, when we're really much bigger than a Lower. I mean, it's wonderful to be in Lower, but we are an attraction we're the largest open-air living history museum in the state of New Jersey. And again, that seems to somehow, it doesn't connect. So we are trying hard to maintain a stable source of funding. For that $150,000 that we've received from the county, we have given back $194,000 in free services. And by that, every single school in the county we go into for free. We have free concerts, we have free events at the village, free lecture series. It goes on and on and on. If you're interested, we have a great website. You can check it out. But for that $194,000, that's a great return on $150,000, but it's more than that. Because with all the other money that we raised, we put $497,000 back into Cape May County economic development. In salaries for our employees. Now, Norris mentioned 6. We have 5 full-time people, 6 counting me, but I'm non-salaried. In the summertime, we hire another 30 some odd people from this whole area. Many of them are from Lower Township. They're teachers and so forth, and you know a lot of them. We also buy a lot of goods and services from places within Cape May County. We buy in Lower Township. We buy food. We have cottage industry of people that make goods for the country store. So it goes on and on and on. So for that $150,000, the freeholders are getting probably a $700,000 return on their investment. So at that point, we are requesting, if you would, a resolution in support of continued funding at the $150,000 level. If you have an open mic or a phone call that you're privy to call any of the freeholders, we appreciate the fact that they're caught, that there's Meals on Wheels, but I don't feel we should be put up against Meals on Wheels. It's apples and oranges. It's a whole different area. The county museum is funded by the library tax, and facilities and services are free. County museum is owned by the county folks, not the county. The zoo is free. They have almost a $2 million budget, and they have no admission fee, and that's funded by the freeholders. So we're asking for parity. If we were the only ones, it would be different, but you know, we really tried hard to take what they've given us and make it really, really count. So thank you.
Thank you. Council comments?
To me, this is a no-brainer. I see what the Cold Spring does, not just for the county, but this community. All the free events, they bring the kids in, everything they do, and the Salvadors, and all their personnel. Except, man, most of them, they're great people. We have to do what we can.
Besides the kids that come in there, I've seen a lot of the reenactors. I mean, they're big kids, not like we are now. And
They love it, Jim.
I mean, the return for the investment that they're given is 4- or 5-fold.
If you have one moment, go on TripAdvisor. When you go home, the latest TripAdvisor came out, and the first 4 or 5, plug in Historic Cold Spring Village.
If you want to get that message out, and you use the microphone so that it goes on TV, or maybe some of our constituents
That's
might.
right. The latest TripAdvisor came out within the last couple of days. That's probably the premier site that people go to when they're looking for vacations. And plug in Historic Cold Spring Village. It will make you feel so good because it explains where we are, and the 4 or 5 people that come up right away, it's a 5-star for every single one, saying how fabulous it is. We have families coming here from the Midwest because their son or daughter saw Jim Stevens, our historian, on TV doing a teleconference distance learning session. So, good stuff.
Norris?
Things that are closest to you often take for granted. I think a lot of people begin to take historic Cold Spring Village for granted. I did that for a while, and it was coming back and hearing Jim Stevens give an amazing lecture on the history of that flag right over there that reminded me how great this treasure is. And going into that store that Claire runs and realizing what a great place it is to get really interesting gifts for people. So we should not take for granted what we have right in our own backyards.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said here. I mean, we could talk about this for a while. I mean, we rerouted the Bayshore Heritage Byway to increase tourism. We live and die as a community on bringing people to this town. It's as simple as that. It's where our people get employment by increasing tourism. It's the #1 industry in the county. And, you know, certainly the Cold Spring Village is a key location on that byway. And, you know, when we talk about economic development in this township, this has to be talked about also. And, you know, for Norris, and I think we'll hear more about the economic development end of what we're speaking about now over the next couple meetings, but it's something that we're extremely interested in. It's not good for us to be sitting here and looking at something that could be part of that engine to lose some of its funding. And, you know, we understand we have our own budget problems too. But I mean, you know, you're sitting back and we're asked to support a resolution to, which came today for $20 million for further advertisement, that we're open down here, but at the same time we're cutting funding to one of our premier spots within the township. We are unknown down here in a lot of ways, and it doesn't, you know, we need to change that. We need to bring people here, and we need to enhance, not take away from these things. So I agree with you on that.
Thank you very much for listening, and just one quick thing. I'm just the person that's at the helm taking care of a lot of the things to be sure they happen, but they happen because of a fabulous staff that we have that's sitting to my right. It happens because of our Historic Cold Spring Village Advisory Board, which are 17 members of our community. They're on the website if you'd like to know who they are. And we also have the Friends of Historic Cold Spring Village, which is a separate nonprofit that was formed way back in 1990 to support the village. So I may be the spokesperson, but I'm just here with a fabulous group that makes it happen. So that's
We agree with that also.
Important to know. Thank you.
I would never have guessed that's the fan club back here. All right, I think we're safely on board with that. Consider it done, I think. It's on the consent agenda, so we'll get your resolution out to you at that point, okay? We move, is anybody here from FEMA? Calling once, twice, sold. Okay, we, you know, have a lot to say about them not being here, so I choose to say nothing. It's better off, we've tried, and we'll try again to get them here. And we'll move on from there. And we'll move down to the consent agenda. Is there any council comments or questions on the consent agenda? I have one, if you don't mind my launching a ship here. The 2013-44, which is the contract award for broker of record, risk management consultant. I'd like to pull that off of there for tonight, table that, and come back hopefully at the next meeting on that. One reason only, we want to make sure that what we're getting is best for our employees, best for the township, the best possible all around. And we're really going into a lot of these different things and pulling them apart and making sure that what we commit the township to is best for the township. So I'll make that suggestion we pull it off. Tom, you're
Second.
okay.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. And that's... Any other council comments or questions on the consent agenda? Okay, I'll open up for public comments on the consent agenda. Anybody who wishes to come forward? Close the public portion.
Approval of, excuse me, minutes from January 2nd, 2013. Resolution 2013-31 through 2013-43. Resolution 2013-45 and 46. Ordinance 2013-01. An ordinance amending Chapter 90, Articles 1 through 3 of the Code of the Township of Lower, 1975 is amended. This is the first reading for Ordinance 2013-01. The second reading and public hearing will be February 20th. And Ordinance 2013-02, an ordinance amending Chapter 1 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Lower. This sets forth the mandatory penalties for non-traffic offenses. This is also the first reading. Second reading and public hearing will be February 20th, 2013.
One question, did we table 44 and 45 or just 44?
Just 44.
Okay.
Is that February 20 or February 4?
February
Okay.
20th, we had to change it.
Is that a holiday that weekend? The 18th?
Yes.
Okay.
The 18th is a holiday.
All right. Okay. You don't have enough days in between the first and second reading because we were on a Wednesday meeting. Do I have a motion to approve
Motion to approve.
and a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Regular agenda?
Yes, 2013-47.
Appointment to the Municipal Utilities Authority. This appointment replaces Kenneth Mann.
I would like to take the opportunity to nominate Steve Sheffs for that position. That appointment will last, expires, I think, in 2015. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
2013-48. This is an appointment to the Municipal Utilities Authority. This is Nels Johnson. His term expires February 2013.
Do I have a nomination for that?
I'll make a motion to nominate Nels Johnson.
Second.
All right.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
2013-49. This is an appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board. Lonnie Bedell's term expired December of 2012.
Now, just to make note of that, we had a recommendation from the RAB that both members whose terms are up be reappointed. Do I have a nomination for that position?
On the chairman's recommendation, I would like to recommend Lonnie Bedell.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
And appointment 2013-50, appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board, Bruce Fournier.
That's one I want you to replace.
Never heard of them.
I'll make a motion to nominate Bruce Werner.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution 2013-51, appointment to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Now, this is an opportunity, and I would just like to stop for a second here. We don't have a lot of applications in, and the individual that had this position does not wish to be reappointed. And I would like to take an opportunity, if somebody has somebody and they want to move forward, that's fine. But what I'm looking at is that maybe just for a second we could talk about putting out a clarion call for people that wish to serve on boards and wish to come to the aid of their township to fill out an application and to put their name in there so we can start to collect more people. We have the Civilian Advisory Board positions open, and we'll be making some of those appointments over the next couple meetings. You have this zoning board. I'm just saying that maybe we want to get more people, and especially some of the people that may not have served before, and give them an opportunity to step forward.
I came tonight prepared to vote for the one person because I think, but at the same time, we do need to make the call to get more applicants for all the positions. I think it's a good idea.
Right. If you want to make the nomination, that's up to you.
I'd rather leave this very peaceful. Let's make it, let's go forward.
Okay.
I was willing to support, but we do need applicants for all these positions, and we do need people. Please come in and apply. We do have a lot of spots, and we need all the information we can and all the good people we can to get on these boards.
Okay.
Agreed with that.
So do you want to push this or postpone this to the next meeting as far as that? Now, one thing I would say is that, and I had talked this over at one point with Councilman Douglas, and when the agenda is set on Thursday, in other words, to prevent an application coming in a half hour before a meeting, which suddenly appears, when the agenda goes out and goes online, the applications, that we can have an agreement on that's when we cut the applications off. So
I think we should actually make some, we need to make sure.
you know, and I think we can say that we will do that from now on, an application, when you put the applications, when you put the agenda package and you include the applications, what you have and is given to us is what we look at. If one comes in afterwards and somebody has a keen interest in seeing that person on the board, then postpone the decision. But it gives us a chance to look at the application. And we don't have somebody coming in here Monday afternoon putting an application in, coming into a meeting, and being forced to make a decision at that spot, right there, whether we want to put them into that position. So is everybody on board with that? Are you okay with that, Tom, Jim?
Yep.
You okay, Norris? So we'll keep it at that unless further directed. That's what council wishes as far as that. Okay. So we'll move on past that then. We'll come back and revisit the zoning board appointment and some of the CAB appointments if people are ready. I haven't reached out to everybody yet. I just haven't had time to get that all taken care of. So we move down now to administrative reports. Is there any council comments on administrative reports? Okay. Council comments, Tom?
So far this winter, we've been lucky. We got another winter storm coming towards us. Please prepare. Township's preparing. We'll be there to help you in all aspects, but please, make sure you're ready at home. Hopefully nothing happens and we have to sail right through. The last time it was this cold, and then we got the snow at the last minute, we got those 2 winter storms. We're back to that temperature again. And it's supposed to snow Friday.
Let's just hope the weather goes further to the north.
Yes, that's a big hope.
Okay. Norris?
Mayor, I'd just like to point out that we have received a grant from DCA for the restoration of the historic Fishing Creek School, as well as ADA compliance. And I just wanted to put out there that we would really like to see contractors and workers for our township get this work and get this opportunity. And they need to see the purchasing agent and get to understand the requirements that they must fulfill, like being bonded and so forth, paying union scale. So I want to just get the word out that that's an opportunity that we hope to keep here at home.
Okay. I totally agree with that. I mean, you know, it's tough down here for a lot of our contractors and workers, and Lord knows, I think the township has a responsibility to shop here first and try and put our people to work. If it's our tax money going into something, we should, you know, do everything we can, stand on our head to hire locally. So that's a good point, and I agree with you. If you were looking at the agenda, we're going to do some things a little bit differently starting at the next meeting. And what we have is a work session, rarely really constitutes a work session. And this time around, we're going to try and look at things a little differently. The next meeting we have in February, the first meeting, I've asked the code enforcement officer to come here. And we're going to actually have this opportunity to have a work session where we can kind of ask him some questions and clear up some misperceptions. For years you've heard about, you know, the code guy. Some people love him, some people don't. But there's a lot of different things that people are not aware of. And we have been tinkering over the years with the code guy. If you had a copy of the agenda and you were looking at it today, you would see where we have put some liens against various lots that were not cut, people that own places, and there's about 5 of them on there. And I'll give you an example. We changed this about 2 years ago. And here's a lawn we had to cut, and it was like, say, $665 to do some work around there. The administrative fee, and we had to go out and get the people to come and do that. That's what I'm trying to say, hire private contractors. We used to have a $25 administrative fee. We changed that about 2 years ago to $500 because people found it actually more convenient just to have us get their lawns cut than it was to do it themselves. So now instead of getting a $690 lien against your house, you're going to get an $1,165 lien against your house. And stop chasing our tails is what I'm trying to say. Make it so that I don't want to cut that guy's grass. He has to cut his own grass. And, you know, we want to free up our code guy instead of returning to the same place time after time. And we're going to explain this in detail. I'm just saying it happened to be on the agenda tonight that we had the lot clearing liens that we placed by resolution. And if you look down at the ordinance, 2013-02, we're changing some of the fines at the court on recommendation of the court officials themselves, and also making it easier for some of the fines to be paid without having to go to court itself, which frees up our code officer. I mean, we're trying to make his job easier for him to do, and in that case, make it better for the township. And I'm going to bring him and put him here, so if you have code enforcement questions, then the following month, it's our intent, in talking with the manager, to bring the head of public works in to talk about the single stream recycling and also the leaf pickup, which seems to be a point sometimes of contention, and show you some of the things that are actually happening, and maybe you would understand the problem we have. So the work sessions this time, during this council term, are going to be used for actually trying to help certain departments or issues that we have. And, public won't be able to comment until it's over, but you'll see something different at the next meeting is what I'm trying to tell you.
And help educate the public.
That's exactly right. I mean, not for anything. There's times when the public has to help us too. When you have flooding problems, there's a good chance that the flooding problems can be traced back to leaves inside the drains. Now, somebody out there may say, well, if you pick the leaves up on time, then they're not going to end up in the street and in the gutters. Well, our leaf pickup schedule ended about 3 days late this year, which is not bad from start to finish. We were only off by 3 days in talking with the Public Works Director. And what's the point I'm trying to say? Well, when you see that your area, and this will be something we'll save for March or whatever, but just to give you how the work session's going to be different. This has to be shown to people that you can't just put leaves out there whenever you want. You have to follow the schedule, because what you ended up doing was flooding out some of your neighbors' yards and areas and stuff like that. So maybe that'll help in a certain way, but it'll be fun to do. Okay, with that, did you give me something else to do? Oh yes, you did, Eileen, right? Hold on. This is good friends of ours. The Lenape Nation has been down here. And honestly, goodness, what a great bunch of people they are. Chief Shelley of the Lenape Nation. Some people say Lenape. It's Lenape, correct? Okay, we're being correct. She will be at the Cape May Point State Park on January 31st, 2013. From 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. in the classroom. And she asked if your family has Lenape or Native American history to come and join her. I'll repeat that. It's January 31st from 1:30 to 3:30 in the classroom at the Cape May Point State Park. And if you have Lenape or Native American history in your family background, please come join them. We've had the occasion to have them in here and about some of their future plans, and they are delightful, nice people as far as that goes. That's it for our stuff, right? Okay, so we now put out the call to the public. If you have a comment or a question you wish to step forward. Yes, sir.
Mind if I pull this thing out? Sure.
Go for it.
I saw in the Herald today, and I saw you on News Center 40 with the scrap metal.
Who are you, sir?
Oh, Barry Felice. I live in North Cape May. Yeah, I saw you on News Center 40. Front page of the Herald today. I had some questions about this
Scrapper.
Yeah, you're going to be licensing the scrap metal guys?
Well, it's something that the council, the mayor and I were talking about to identify who is doing the scrapper, picking up metals on people's lawns, make sure they're upstanding people in the community. And the other part of that was that we really need the tonnage that is produced out of Lower Township. The tonnage that's taken from Lower Township is based upon how much rebate we get back from the county MUA and grant from the state of New Jersey. So we aren't concerned about them making money. And as I said, God bless them. If they're doing this to feed their family, that's great. What I'm proposing, and then I talked to the mayor about it, is that we just get the receipts that'll be turned into the clerk once a week, so the people of Lower Township get their best return financially for what's being taken out of the township. Now, I've been watching the way we've been operating, and quite elementary. If it costs me $1,000 a day to put a truck and a couple guys picking stuff up, and we're only getting $100 for the metal, we're better off letting a private citizen do it that's trying to feed his family or whatever they're doing because they're out of work. So that's something the mayor and I have talked about, that he may want to elaborate on it, that bring it up to the council probably at the next meeting.
Yeah, it's something that Tom, you may remember this, about 3 years ago, our former chief had forwarded us a proposal to basically issue a license to people that were salvaging metal. There's a variety of reasons. First of all, this was initiated, the whole situation, by some complaints we had about, you know, some of the situations where people would come out and their trash was all over the place. And it is part of our ordinances. It is as it now exists. And that's correct. You know, right now you can't do that. We really haven't been too harsh on people. I don't know that we've ever enforced that, and people have been scrapping. The question arose after we got the complaints that yes, we are forced to enforce it because it is part of our ordinances. But we are not without compassion. I understand the economic times, and all of council does. So what I did was I went back in and pulled up from a couple of years ago. There was not support to move forward with it a couple of years ago. But I sent it to the manager, and he's given it to our department heads who would be impacted by that for comment. And then we'll send it out to council with any corrections that need to be done, and see if council supports a change in the ordinance to enable people to give us an owner's card, a license, insurance, and then go out and collect that. But I mean, there has to be certain things written into that. We don't want people turning trash cans upside down. And you come out in the morning and your lawn's covered with trash, and they pick the metal clean and rode away.
Are you going to charge them a fee for this?
Maybe, if it was, it would be only like a couple dollars. It wouldn't be anything that would be significant.
Maybe $5 or $10 administrative fee just for the clerk's office.
I have no interest in scrapping.
Okay.
My concern is, and I see this all the time, that working people, poor people are just getting hammered.
And we agree.
I had a taxi service in this township for 4 years, which I closed 2 years ago.
Right.
And especially here in the Villas. And this is a poor community. I live in North Cape May, and I got people coming by, scrapping. I saved the metal for them. I have no problem. They're very friendly. I don't see them going and pulling my trash apart. I usually put it off to the side for them. Some of them, if I know they're coming, I'll put it off the driveway so the other scrappers don't get it. But I just, you know.
We were on the same page.
Yeah.
We have never, you know, to my knowledge, we've never taken somebody in for scrapping.
Yeah.
It's never crossed our desk. That being said, the law is in effect right now, and it's up to us to change it if council so desires. It's a council decision.
Has anybody ever challenged that law?
I don't know, not that I'm aware of.
Now,
I Googled it before I came over here.
yeah, the ordinance, we looked at it earlier, 570, 13C, I think. And it says that once it's placed to the curbside, or respectively the street side, it's then property of the township.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm
I'm asking, is the ordinance legal? Has anybody ever challenged it?
Well,
Not that I'm aware of.
It's as legal as we know, because it, like you said, it has not been
I
challenged.
Googled it tonight, I'm not an attorney, but it said that in the past what was happening is, say you got somebody who's doing something illegal, the police have gone into their trash and used that as evidence against them.
Well, this is not the intent of this ordinance. This intent is to protect the taxpayers of this community, because we've had some unscrupulous people that have not only taken the metal and stuff in the curb and dumped the trash out, took the cans and the metal, this, that, and the other, but then they went on summer residents' property and took the lawnmower, and they take this, that, and the
Well,
other.
that's always illegal.
So, well, that is illegal.
Yeah, but see, you know, when you get a name and somebody's out there, and you can call a guy and say, look, Joe Jones left his kid's bike out there. It wasn't scrap. Do you happen to have it?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, you gotta have some kind of controls on this.
Yeah.
And what they cannot take is the recyclables that the township sells back, which is like the aluminum cans, the paper, things like that. If it's a bed frame, if it's an old beat up wheelbarrow, yeah, fine. We really would rather see that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We did get money back over the past 3 years. We've gotten
We had $192,000
well,
back to the county.
that's the recyclables, but we're talking about the metal, we have gotten back $25,000 over a 3-year period. But the other side of it is, we'll still collect some of that. We're not gonna get out of the business, we'll collect what we've always collected. We're just not gonna interfere. We wanna make it legal, we never interfered, but we wanna make it legal for these people to be able to do it. But they have to cooperate with us too.
The bottom line is we want as much money put back in the general fund to reduce property taxes in this town, and that's the only way we can do it.
How are you going to enforce it?
Well, again, we're going to put a mechanism together that our solicitor will review with council, and as I said, it will be required to not only show a registration, valid driver's license, and insurance on the vehicle you're using, so we know who's operating this town, but they will have to give receipts once a week or however we determine the process.
You can send the police out there? Like somebody calls in, you send the cops out, or?
No. This is in-house. Let me just say this. The council's not trying to provide a police state here.
Yeah.
We're just trying to regulate so we know who's operating. The good guys do the right things. We don't want to report their income to the IRS. We're not concerned about that. They can black out how much money they got.
Yeah.
I just want the tonnage, because the more tonnage we have, like the mayor said, we got $192,000 from the MUA. We got another $30-some thousand in a grant for doing a good job in the state. I'd love to see that increase. And the only way it's going to increase if we have the right numbers that are reported with the tonnage that comes from this town. There's other issues because the urban section, North Cape May section, have Cape May zip codes, 08204. So some of the, like a local metal digger like Raph up in Courthouse, he supposedly reports back to us the tonnage. But Cape May's getting a lot of credit, or they could be, because of the zip code confusion. So we're trying to do everything to right it, to return as much money back to the general fund to reduce property taxes in this town, and also to legalize these guys and make them have some kind of a performance to earn a living, however they do it, but don't do anything like throwing people's trash. We've had people complain they just dump the cans, leave a mess, and take all they want. It's just not right. Now, it's not going to be a police state. It's not going to have the police chasing them. I think if we structure this properly, put a minimum fee if council approves of $5 or $10 just for the administrative fee, and they go with the process, I don't think there's a problem.
Yeah. Well,
There's other towns have these ordinances. We didn't just create the wheel. There's other communities that
Yeah,
are regulating.
I've seen it in the paper. I don't know if anyone's ever challenged them on it. You know, I just feel bad for these people. They're poor people. You know, I just ran into my buddy who's still in the taxi business. He told me it's $2 time of the year. What happens this time of year? They're digging in their sock drawers, and they're paying their taxi fares with $2 bills.
The bottom line with this is this
You're victimizing.
council.
I feel like you're kind of victimizing these.
No,
they're
council.
they're even victimized by the economy.
We saw this before you
If we
came
wanted
here
to
with the
victimize-
microphone. We've been working on
Right.
this for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The council would just cut them off if they wanted to victimize. Say, you can't take that stuff, it belongs to the township. We're not saying that. We're saying you can pick it, pay your bills, feed your children, whatever it is. We just want the tonnage. We want to structure it, make it legal.
Well, I'm aware of your.
So we want to revise the ordinance.
I seen you on TV last night, and I read the article, and you know, I've been in the community since 1990, so I'm aware of what you're saying.
Right.
I see this. I went through this with the Guida that runs the convention center. They kept increasing the fees, and I said, these guys are making $25,000 a year, and they keep saying, well, it's only a little bit more money.
Yeah.
But it's not a little bit more money to somebody who doesn't have it.
We don't want to interfere with what they're doing, but we want to make sure that we're fair to the people too. So, if you give us another couple of weeks, we'll be probably passing this around with council, and with their blessing, we'll introduce an ordinance that'll probably solve this problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to address council? Yes, sir. Not Ed. Hold on a second. This gentleman was up first. Hold on. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I was here in August inquiring about the plans to resurface Clubhouse Road
Right.
and parts of Bay beyond the S-curve.
Okay.
And you guys essentially deferred me to the MUA. But you did say that there was a possibility something could be done in the fall, or there was a capital
Yes,
project.
I remember
work
the,
that might be going on in the spring.
I'll be honest with you, I'm going to have to talk with Gary.
Yeah, there is a project, there's a proposal to get this done. And the MUA supposedly has some money left from a project they worked on, and they were going to share that with us and a joint effort of getting that clubhouse road.
I did go and talk to the MUA, and they basically bounced me back to you guys.
Well, the fact, well, that's fine, but I'm saying that the discussions we've had with Matt Eckert at the MUA, there's going to be another pipe has to be put under that one section of Clubhouse Road 2 as part of the project, but it's going to get done. One way or the other through the grant money that he has left or capital on our end.
Sir, can we have your name, please, just for our record?
Jay Young, I live in
Okay.
Gateway Beach area.
And
So when do you think this is going to be done? Like this year, next year?
This
4
year,
or 5 years?
absolutely this year, Mr. Young. And if you call my office tomorrow, I'll be speaking to Mr. Douglas first thing in the morning, or Matt, to find out when they plan on doing this.
We'll get you the information.
I know they were waiting on some information before they get started. I'm not sure exactly what it
What other
was.
pipes are they running there?
It's
They
a
got water
Coxsackie.
and they got gas.
Or the Coxall Creek.
We're looking, and it's one of those,
It's a drainage pipe in the Coxwell Creek watershed. They're going to be putting a bigger pipe underneath the S-curve as it is. And I actually did, just only a week ago, talk to Gary Douglas at Public Works, and the engineer work straight has a application in with DOT, and they're trying to hopefully get some money, but if they don't even get any money from the DOT, it's going to get done this spring late, he said.
This spring, like
Late
2
in
months
spring.
from now? It's
Well,
spring?
it's all weather related, but he said sometime in this spring, late in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you had said to me before.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here.
I wasn't up
The-
here. But that's what I'm saying.
The estimate was spring, and,
Right.
you know, there's no
I think-
plans, so how could it be
I
spring?
think the last time I remember him talking, when he was here, it was going to be this past fall.
Well, I live in Town Bank, so he knows I'm going to be down there almost
You
every.
don't happen to live in front of where they did repair the surface there? 'Cause they-
No.
They did a section from Town Bank West out on Town Bank Road to resurface that. Is that where you live?
Yeah, I saw it. No, I live on Adelphia, and I go down Clubhouse Road every day.
Yeah, so you know how bad it is.
Yes.
I got pulled over by a cop for driving carelessly because I was on
Trying to
the other
avoid.
side.
side.
And I explained to him I was driving cautiously.
Right.
We hear you.
So,
This was the September.
It's gonna get done.
Trying to get, fell through, and that was gonna fix the roads, but we didn't get that money, so.
From what Gary told me, even if they don't get a grant, and even if the MUA doesn't pitch in to help out, that part of that bond that was passed a little bit ago, Clubhouse Drive, is going to be near the top of the list for there.
okay,
Thank you.
all right, so
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
you'll know some kind of a timeline?
Yeah, I'll check with Gary in the morning and see if, what's the latest. Again, I guess maybe like the councilman said, they may be waiting to see if we get this grant, to get some free money to do it. If not, we'll use it out of our capital.
Okay, great, thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Ed,
Ed Butler from the Village. First of all, I have 2 issues. First one is a positive thing as far as administrative reports. I think that's a good way to go with that. It's been a mute thing for over a long period of time, unless there was an issue when somebody had to come and was brought in here. I think the department heads should be here to explain things and to carry it out.
We'll do that.
My congratulations on that. The second thing is that this FEMA situation, where there's nobody here tonight. I've been reading a lot about it and looking at it, and as far as the cost of these things to the taxpayer, to the property owners of, say, the Villas or along the bay, and when I was looking at it, if it's put off long enough, it looks like they don't know really what to do with the bay area. A lot of the areas have already been floodplain, and talking about the right here, we're having a hard time with it, and if it's postponed and not pushed that much longer, maybe eventually it's going to happen. But just looking at my own property there, and that's what I deal with right now, my flood insurance would increase depending on the height. And Councilman Neville, he spoke, it was actually in the paper, what he said about the height and all, the V area. A lot of things are really not explained that well yet.
That's why we wanted to bring this gentleman down here, and I am disappointed that we didn't get somebody here tonight. and it's not our fault. Let me make sure you understand that. And we will continue to try and get somebody here. We've set meetings up for some of the people who had lost Dune here, and we're told that we would get the special Dune guy down here. And and it's difficult. And I'm not going to sit here and cross swords with anybody because it's uncharted waters. But before we begin to discuss something that I only know surface amounts about, I would feel more comfortable if we would try and get this guy here for the next meeting who can talk about the impact of the new map system that's coming out.
Yep.
That's what needs to be done. And I do know, we attended the meeting up in Avalon, and Jimmy went to the one in the Crest, and we've been to a lot of different meetings, and they started to talk about the fact that if you look at the current map, part of our town is not in the mapping system. That's not because it's not going to be. It's because it's in a different zone. And correct me if I say anything wrong. I don't want to go any further than that. It's just that they're not done with the mapping system, but they put out what they are done. And it's extremely important. It is critical to the future of this town that we understand this whole thing. And it's why we're beating the drum. This council is pounding on the door trying to get somebody down here to explain it, because it will have to do with your ability to sell or somebody else's ability to buy in this township. So
just reading different things about it right now and looking at different areas,
right.
I leave them up there in Trenton. I leave them sit there as long as they can and leave this area the way it is, because just looking at things here.
This began before.
Let me finish. And then just the cost of flood insurance for my property right now. An example, it says $350 a year.
Right.
It'll go up 90% on the height. Then it'll go up higher than that. It'll be 900%, $30,000. Now who's going to afford it? It'll kill this township completely. There'll be nobody here be able to afford it. You're going to have people moving out here more so than they are now.
Saying to you, and we'll do everything we can to get people here. We had a commitment that evaporated in the past 24 hours. I spent part of the afternoon with Mike making calls to people that were going to come in because they thought the FEMA people were going to be here. We had to call some people and say, look, don't come out in 15-degree weather to listen, expecting FEMA to be here, because they're not going to be here. So we'll do everything we can to bang the drum. And the next time, if they don't show, then the drum will get louder.
Well, as long as it's put off and it keeps going, it'll stay that way. But eventually, if I'm pressing this thing and pressing it, it's going to impact this area very, very strongly.
I thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
And one of the questions that some official asked is the federal government basically trying to have people retreat from the shoreline? Because they had so many acronyms that it's like alphabet soup, and you have to actually think about what they're saying. And houses that were built before this flood insurance rate map, they're called firm structures. And that's anything before, I think, 68 or something like that, which is a lot of the places around here. And they're built where they're supposed to be elevation 10, but they're built on a slab. And they're basically telling these people they're going to possibly loan them up to $30,000 to raise their houses 10 feet. Well, if that's actually economically feasible. And if not, they're going to be hit with flood insurance they never even had to pay before. And yeah, like you said, the 300, then 900 times what a $350 policy would cost today. It's and some of them won't even be able to get it.
Well, living in the area, and in your area there, in that ward there, just take a look at out there on that bay, how high it is.
Well,
20, 30 foot high? And they're on slabs, those houses.
The scary part is that the dune line and halfway down the first block is not in the affected zone of the flood insurance. But you go around the Coxhaw Creek watershed, they haven't even mapped the one up there, and it extends out all due to elevation. And they're all going to be now in the flood zone where they're going to have to have flood insurance.
Yeah, because that would take it, because you got like freshwater streams coming in on the back end, and you got
And
flooding
that's
from both sides.
And that's this whole FEMA, it's like the surge that could happen across any river or watershed, and how far out it reaches. Those are the people who are going to be required to have flood insurance now.
Yeah, well, that could happen in certain areas, as long as they would do that, but if you took the whole area, and its whole lower township, and just go right down like they did in Reval, and really mess things up all along there, the same thing will happen. They'll be in floodplains where they should be.
Well,
Fair
again,
kickbacks all correct.
we're dealing
Oh,
without the knowledge. We got to get the people here that are
All right.
involved with this, and I think we're just speculating at this point. So we'll do everything we can to get to.
But at least one thing, it's on, right now it is called just an advisory-based flood elevation, APFE.
So you'll have your day in
Advisory.
court, is what he's saying.
Oh, I'm sure, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to address council? Mr. Rizzo? Be right with you, man. Go ahead.
Good evening. Robert Rizzo, Mickles Run. Mr. Mayor, this is, I know you can't read.
I can't even see the paper, let alone what's on.
It says Township and Lower Citizen Leadership Forum.
Yes,
And it's there on the back table for anyone that wants it.
yes.
So
We put them
I
there.
took one, so
Miss
maybe some other people will take
Julie
one.
Picard put them back here.
Okay, maybe some other people will take one and sign up.
Yes, that would be a good thing.
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, sir.
It's a beautiful fence around the Public Works area on Seashore Road. How much did that fence cost?
It was about a little less than $14,000 for the complete job.
And it was done by one of our local people.
Yes, it was done by a local
Murphy?
contractor.
Murphy, right?
Yes.
It looks wonderful.
Thank
It
you.
looks better than what was there before. I think it was $14,000 well spent. Thank
We
you.
aim it, please.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Valerie Watson. I'm from New Jersey's Project for Hope and Healing. It's a project sponsored by the New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services Disaster and Terrorism Branch. Through a FEMA grant in partnership with the Mental Health Association of New Jersey, we're providing mental health services for anyone that was affected by Sandy, any of the volunteers that were a part of the relief effort, and any first responders that were involved with rescue or continued efforts. We provide presentations to help people deal with stress, understanding disaster-related stress symptoms and coping skills. We also provide individual family counseling and telephonic case management if that's needed. So we've been coming around to the area committee meetings to address the council to let them know that these services are available. And also because so many concerned citizens attend these meetings, to let people know that if you feel that you might know someone that you think would benefit from our services, need someone to talk to, or might be stressed out from all the work that they're putting into helping the community, I'd like to leave some brochures
Fantastic.
if I can.
Thank you. He's going to ask you about the FEMA map. I said no.
We'll be less stressed out if you get the beach team down.
Thank goodness
Is there
I
any
know
chance?
nothing about it, and I can say I know nothing about it. The only thing they do impress upon us is to let people know that if they did have any damage and they have not applied for a small business loan, the deadline is coming up on the 31st, and they can spend a year and decide whether or not they actually want to take the loan, but if they don't put the application in, they will not be eligible for any assistance through FEMA, or they won't be eligible to apply later. That's the only information that they do definitely give us and encourage people to apply.
We thank you for your service. Questions, Councilor? Everybody all right with that? Make sure Julie has some information else. Is it in reference to this lady's?
No, I'm sorry, I thought she was finished. I just
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your mission.
Nels Johnson, currently from Town Bank and reappointed MUA Board. I want to thank the council for having the faith and the confidence in my abilities, and current chairman of the board. I just want to address Mr. Young, and not only Mr. Young, but the residents of Town Bank and Clubhouse. First of all, we didn't bounce this situation back to council. We've been stating all along that to people that have come to the MUA meetings that we were waiting on the township to file for a grant. We knew that the grant may or may not come to fruition. However, we cannot just pave a road and then ask for grant money. We are diligently working to fix the situation with the township, whether it's through a cooperative effort with monies if the grant doesn't materialize. We're starting on phase 3, which is just north of Clubhouse, so there's going to be more construction going on, so we cannot, we just cannot stop what we're doing and pave a road without first getting monies if they're available, because it's not going to be a cheap endeavor. So Matt Eckert, the board, and the MUA are diligently working with Township to get this rectified, hopefully by spring. And, you know, and it's a problem, we know it. I live there, I drive that every day. I have my trucks that drive up and down those streets, and it's a safety hazard. But we're going to get to it one way or the other. The Township and the MUA will get that thing paved. Okay, that's all I have to say. And thanks again for.
And by the way, you and Matt and the board and all the employees, you've done a really, really good job down here with the MUA. I mean, it's, you know, the past couple of years has just been a joy in what you guys have accomplished down there. And I tip the hat to you people down there. So thank you for what you're doing down there.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor and Council.
We couldn't always say that, but we can now. You know, this gentleman here, and then we'll get to you, Steve. Come on, Steve. Steve's. Oh, Steve's, yeah, what am I thinking here? The Steve convention. Yes, Steve.
I'd like to thank the majority of the board for supporting me. I'm pretty sure you're all aware of the work I did in the past, and it would be my goal to continue that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve. Not you.
The other Steve.
The other Steve.
How much fun can you have?
Hey, hi, Steve.
With the real Steve.
Steve Morey.
Good evening, guys.
How are you, Steve?
I know I saw 3 of you at the league meeting last night, and Vicki did a nice presentation, and Mayor, I'm glad you acknowledged that you received that draft resolution.
And do you need that tonight?
Well, I came here tonight to at least represent my township as chairman of the board of the Cape May County Chamber anyway, and I knew that draft resolution was going out. I think they want to start, we'd like to see that campaign, that money come through from the state as soon as possible to get, you know, we've got competition, we've got all the Carolinas, Maryland, you know, they're fighting for that tourism dollar.
Right.
And it's a national perception due to TV that we've lost boardwalks, we've lost beaches. You know, 30% of the people out there think that Atlantic City's boardwalks are completely gone. You saw the numbers in the resolution.
I did.
So I was just asking as a resident of Lower Township that we do support, and it was great that Annie was here too. If no one comes here, thinks that there's beaches and on a rainy day or whatever, they want to go to her village and visit that. We need to market Cape May County and all of South Jersey and New Jersey so we don't lose those tourists. You lose them once and they go somewhere else, it takes years to bring them back. So we just think it's important, and I think it's important that the township supports that initiative to get a statewide marketing and let the governor know that we need that money to do that.
Steve, Mayor, we just received it this afternoon. I sent it over to the clerk, so I'm sure you'll have it for your next meeting.
Well, do you need it tonight?
If you want to pass it tonight, that would.
Well, verbally, I guess you could.
We can read it.
Yeah, because it's already.
You have it, Jewel?
Yeah.
The tourism one I sent over?
You all right with it?
I don't have it.
You don't have it, okay. Well, I thought we don't have it.
It just came in, Steve.
All right, we'll get it the next, we'll put it on for the
I
next
just
meeting.
wanted to put on your radar screen, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
it didn't come till later today, and I had it, but it's on my
I
desk, to be honest
understand.
with you.
We didn't get it out. I reviewed it at around 1 o'clock.
Okay, we will have it at the next meeting, which is, yeah, it's only
Yeah, that's
12 days away.
That's good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Okay.
and for your efforts. Anybody else? George? Hold on, this gentleman's coming up now. George, please.
Hi, George Doherty, Irma. Yeah, I want to ask about, I guess it's about that time, I guess, for our taxes. Are we looking at a 0 increase, or I haven't heard anything, so I'm just wondering if this is...
The budget's being put together right now. There's nothing to be presented to council to be reviewed. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'm sitting down with our CFO and our auditor to see where we stand. So I'm sure the council next month will have something to present to the public.
All right, so as far as we know now, there's no need for an increase here.
I couldn't honestly tell you at this point.
Okay. Another thing too, I wanted to ask: is the planning board ever spoken to you about the wood burning, the heater things for the outdoor?
I think that's put to bed for now.
Okay, because I know they're meeting tomorrow, so
Pardon me?
I think their meeting is tomorrow. I'd like to know if they ever gave a recommendation to
No.
you.
We don't have anything.
But they didn't seem like they wanted to do it. They were just
No,
like,
I think that's where it's going to be for a while.
So you don't want to do anything, and they're not going to do anything? It's,
No.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
It's got to go through them.
So they have to do something, or else you can't. do
Yeah,
anything.
we're not, I don't see any.
You wash your
rules.
hands of it, kind of, basically.
I don't know if I'd go quite that far. What I'm saying is it went back to them, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but we're waiting to see if they, and I don't think that there's a real, yeah.
They said they didn't want to do anything because they didn't think it was their responsibility, and they said it got tossed to them, which should have never been done. That's what their answer was.
Okay.
I'll go to the meeting tomorrow and find out if they.
Thank you.
See what's going on.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Young.
Not to monopolize your time, but might as well try to get two issues for the price of one. I live on Shore Drive north of the S-curve, and they repaired the beach access along there. You guys repaired the beach access, which the drain pipes were damaged. But that dune took a lot of beating. So I was wondering if there's, when you talk about dune repair or this FEMA program, is there something in the works, or is there something available to repair that dune, or are they going to do any beach replenishment along there? They lost about 15 feet horizontally.
I'm not sure is that our property?
It's probably the homeowner's property.
Well, if it's the homeowners, then they're basically.
We have a permit for all the property that the township owns, beachfront, which is
And
the
our
majority of
access,
it,
yeah.
that we can push back a foot of it. And that's in discussion right now with our Public Works Director and DEP.
A few of those homeowners were here for that meeting, that the one set of FEMA guys came and
Right.
they really didn't have any information. They were supposedly going to get this beach team together.
So if FEMA shows up again, that would be the time to discuss it with them?
Yes. Precisely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor, if I can, just want to announce the mayor and I attended the graduation of the police today, and we have 3 new police officers, 3 new residents that have joined. Well, they just finished the police academy, and that's Officer McNulty, Officer Flickcroft, and Officer Armbruster. Armbruster. They are now members of the Lower Township Police, and starting tomorrow, they'll be working.
Okay. Close the public portion.
Resolution 2013-52. A resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Excuse me. This is to discuss employment relationships, possible litigation, and current litigation.
Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.